Growing up loving music, who were your heroes? Who made you want to do this in a bigger way?
Well, probably you'll hear this a lot. I'm not too original with it. The Beatles is definitely, probably the first band that really
the bar
just,
really high.
Yeah, my parents wouldn't let me watch it, and I kind of snuck out of my bedroom and looked around the corner.
Ed Sullivan, took a sneak.
Yeah, and it's just like, wow, okay.
You and 50 million guys form bands the next day, right?
Yeah. So yeah, Beatles, and kind of growing up, I mean, Led Zeppelin was a band I loved, and
Sure.
stuff like that.
What was it about the 70s that just rings 50 years later? It's still just as fresh.
I think it was a time before the business really focused on a formula,
Foreign TV and
I think in the 70s it was still really open that way, and technology hadn't gotten too much in the way. Back then in the 70s, so many of the records sound different from one another, right? And it's because they were truly recorded in different spaces, different rooms with different equipment and all that. So they sound different too, and now they all sound the same, but they're all using the same software now to do that. So it's taken away a lot of, I think, the individual identity that we used to.
So before the formulas, it was more unique. Everybody really stood out on their own, and
I think
didn't try and blend in. They stood out.
And the cool thing too was that record companies gave bands, artists, time to sort of grow and develop, so you kind of saw that happen from like maybe a first record to a second to a third, it kind of developed over time, and now it's more like they come out of the box with a hit, or you're gone.
It's kind of like the box office scores the first weekend, you know? What tell us about collaborating with Boston? What's the greatest thing about that collabo?
I think for me, it gave me as a bass player a lot of opportunity to really play, which I loved having. The guys are all just great. I worked a lot with Tom Scholz, co-wrote 5 songs with him on one album, and so I really appreciated the fact that, for me, this is the guy who wrote all these really great songs, so it was a little intimidating to actually sit down and do songs with him, write songs with him.
What was that process like? You bring a riff in, you share some ideas, back and forth?
Yeah, we would usually just record demo tapes on our own, just have some ideas for something, and then I'd show things to Tom, and Tom would go, hey, I like that. That's pretty cool. We should develop that. And sometimes it'd be kind of a back and forth. Sometimes he would take my idea. Like I had one song. There's a song on the Walk On album called "I Know That We Can Make It." I had a finished song. I showed it to him, and he goes, "I really like that." And he was working on it by himself. And all of a sudden, he comes back to me. He goes, "Hey, I got all this stuff recorded. I hope you like it. What I did to your song." And he changed a number of things and kept a lot of things too, and he definitely made a big improvement on it. So there was stuff like that, and there were other songs on that album where we would be in the studio and just go, we don't really have a chorus. What is this? And we would just kind of back and forth. What if we try this? What if we try that? And we would just sort of hit on things and just record them immediately, and just sort of build up a recording that way.
Sure. So what advice do you give to that young musician, the young band or songwriter come up today? What they need to focus on to really stand out?
I think kind of along the lines we were talking about, I think they need to focus on having a real individual identity and not getting lost up in, hey, I want to try and sound like Justin Timberlake or, whatever the big hit records are, right? I don't think they're going to have much success with that anymore. I think the smaller labels are the ones who are really paying attention to things that are different, off the mainstream, And my son's a guitarist. He lives up in Portland, and he's just totally into sort of whatever the alternative scene is now. And for me, I think it may not be the most financially successful for a lot of these guys, but I think it's probably the most gratifying for a lot of them.